settling in my room again.
No.
How are you doing?
Perfect. I'm great. How are you?
I'm living, and that is beautiful.
I like your setup. Is that where you do a lot of your mixing?
I do everything in here.
I saw some of your videos whenever you were getting ready for mixing and stuff like that. How much of your day does that usually consist of?
Like mixing in general, or like getting ready for it.
I mean, both. How long does it take you to get ready for it, though? Do you have a whole ritual in progress?
So kind of, it's a very weird. It's weird sometimes. If I'm
Uh,
going strictly to mix, then yeah, there's a routine. It's like I zone out. I don't listen to anything. I listen to like the only stuff I really listen to is like sound bowls or what's the word I'm looking for? Just like noise, real quiet for a while, just level myself out, go silence for most of the day, then sit down and get to work. I'll just sit in here, or if I'm working in a studio that day, like there are days I go to some friends' studios, or days I get called to work with people at a studio. I'll just go sit and then, you know, zen in for a second and then get to work, get
do
busy.
you work better at night or during the day?
It depends because I could do any time. I'm just usually up at night. I don't usually sleep much, so it's just how it goes.
I can relate to that. Well, you don't really have to dig deep to find out or to understand your deep passion and love for music. And you've been doing this for a long time, and you crank out song after song, and they're all so emotional. And you really take us through a journey with all of your music. But I really want to know, like, where did that spark come from? Was there anybody that was like inspired you to get into music?
Honestly, no, I've just always liked music. I've always wanted to make it. When I was a kid, I played instruments. Like I played trumpet for most of my life. I played guitar in high school and college a lot. I just played instruments. I chose to. Singing was the part that was random. Singing just happened because that was what when you can't play an instrument, but all you can think about is music, you're gonna hum, you're gonna sing, you're gonna whatever. So I did that constantly to like an irritating degree as a child. And then one day it was like, I'm just gonna write songs and I'm gonna make music, and everyone laughed.
Did people tell you, "Oh, you have a really good voice," or was it just kind of like, "Please stop singing"?
It depends. So it depends on the day. It depends on the day. Often I got, wow, that was nice. This is good, whatever's. I love that. I'm not gonna ever shy away from those. But often it was like, oh, you're just going. Okay, you're singing. All right, songs on your head today. What are you thinking about with it? And I had a very, like, I don't want to say eclectic music taste, but it's very eclectic. It could go from like electronic music to at one point in time fucking polka, because
Wow, okay.
that's what the song, I just played the song sometimes because I heard it once and I was like, that's cool. And that's just what it is. I just like music because I listen to like J-pop now from the 80s, and people just stare at me like I'm weird, but I could do any genre. Like I could listen to anything. So it's
I feel like
whatever.
that's so important. Even whenever you were younger, you would just listen to anything that you kind of found. Like, how would you find music? Because I don't think I was 10 years old and listening to, K-pop. I think I was just, my dad was a rock and roller. Like, I listened to rock and roll religiously. How did you kind of branch out?
It wasn't anything that I did intentionally, right? So often I'm just watching TV or watching movies or learn and hearing the songs there and then listening to words and typing them out and trying to find the songs on Google when that started, or Ask Jeeves, depending on how old I was, whichever I could get my hands on. Uh, and then eventually it turned into vinyls. I got into vinyl records when I was a kid. My grandma, because I was raised by my grandparents, so they always wanted to show me old music. They're always playing oldies stations. They're always playing soul music. They're always singing old songs to me and singing like the Beatles and stuff to me and showing me. My grandfather shows me Parliament Funkadelic when I was like 5 or 6. I don't understand. My brain can't understand that, but it was great. So it went from them and them telling me to get the vinyls and into me crate digging in people's garages and just discovering records, and a family friend passing and then giving me all his records and all his stuff to discover. It's just years and years and years of music exploration that I went through that just lives in my brain. I write songs to all types of genres because I think about all types of genres, like even country
Oh,
music. I think about
yeah. So, do you limit yourself to one genre? Like when people are like, "Hey, what kind of artist are you?" What's your general response?
Laughing is my general. Really hard because people say that's why I like when people say I sound like Frank Ocean. It's so funny to me because I'm like, you don't even know all of what I do because I've only shown one so far. I've only shown like two sides, I guess, or two parts of the whole piece. Because my older music was like just winging it. So some of it, a lot of it is singy, but some of it is really rappy and all over the place. And then it's just been like R&B, 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 R&B. And then I did the little hip hop EP in between then with my friend, shout out Fletch. But it was all R&B, and I haven't gotten back into the other bag yet to show how where that's evolved. So I really don't know what to say to people. I'm always just like, I make music. I'm a songwriter, and I don't limit myself in anything. So I try to just leave that as emphasized as possible because I will never just do one thing. I think that's stupid.
Yeah, and I think it's important for any artist to be able to explore and their sound without being like, "Hey, you're just a country artist," or "Hey, you're just a pop artist," and then release, like a rap album next or a country album next. Like, just keep them on their toes. But I did want to talk about your early music. Do you remember the first song you ever made?
Yeah, my first song I ever made was a song I wrote when I was in middle school that I will never repeat the name of or even the concept, but I was flipping a dream song. My only it was so bad. But I didn't that wasn't even my first like released recorded music. On SoundCloud I have these really old like rap songs that were me discovering what I wanted to do in this realm because I played classical music and like a lot of marches and romantic stuff growing up. Like I wasn't playing like Gap Band or like another. I was playing like concertos, and that's just where my brain lived with my own expressions of music, and then covering songs on a guitar. And that didn't really feel like it would fit in what I wanted to do making music in the future. So I didn't really know what I was doing, and I just started winging it. So there's like an old rap EP that feels like Earl Sweatshirt songs that I made with a friend. Um, there's a bunch of just old. There's a whole EP that's not on streaming that will never exist, and it's probably only going to exist online for another like 2 years before I just make it disappear
Just
anyway.
yank it out. It's gonna stay locked in the vault forever. But do you think that kind of helped you discover who you are and as an artist, being like, this was embarrassing. I hate myself for doing this. Now I know what not to do for the next one.
Absolutely. I think it not only helps shape how I create and want to go forward. Uh, I think if I didn't do it, I genuinely wouldn't know what I'd be doing. Like I'd just be. It was a period of winging it. It was like, how do I like this? Does this sound cool? Is this a thing? And it eventually just became therapy. Like it started as I'm gonna have fun, and as I kept going, I discovered like the same kind of passion that I felt when I was trying to compose years before, or when I was trying to play different songs on trumpet. I felt the same kind of passion appear later on as I figured it out, and then I was able to actually start expressing what I feel like is myself. But because at every point I feel like I've expressed myself. Don't get me wrong. Every single album, every single body of work, wherever I was at doing whatever I was doing, is a perfect picture of me and exactly what I wanted to put out at the time, exactly how I wanted it to look, sound, and feel. Because it's just painting pictures. I'm just painting the picture that's in here and trying to show it for everyone else. And I'm grateful for it, even the ones I don't like today.
Mm. Do you ever find it challenging trying to, because you come from a very instrumental background, and that is super important because I feel like a lot of artists that don't play an instrument don't really, sometimes they don't understand how things come to be. Do you think that's helped you a lot with trying to bring forth the ideas that you have in your head and putting it into music? Or do you think it makes it more challenging because you know the ins and outs of creating music?
I don't really think about it too much. So I guess
Mhm.
it helps because naturally um I have I hate to say it like this because it always sounds more arrogant than it is, but there's like a level of musicality that comes with with all of that that you can attribute to everything. Like I can't give that to someone else. I can teach someone how to mix. I can teach someone how to sing, how to rap, how to whatever. I cannot teach to you the musicality that comes within the ideas that are my music because they are things I picked up from learning intonation in a trio and from learning how I like thirds to blend in certain chords through bands and all these types of things. It's like it provided an experience that tuned my ears, and I think that itself is great. I'm grateful for it, and that is it. That's great, but like it's not a necessary. I think a lot of the artists that don't have that just will get that experience in a different way. Do many of them make it all the way there to do so? Maybe not, but there it comes to them in a very different way.
Yeah. So do you write, record, produce all your own music?
Don't produce it. I
Mhm.
the things that I produce currently. Often leaning on friends or going online and getting beats, but eventually I would like to produce more of my own music. I've produced a couple things
Mhm.
uh of my own.
It's a learning process.
It's taken me longer than everything else. So I do better when I have an idea. That's just it, flat out. So if I listen to a beat already, there's a melody, there's a mood, there's a something to build on. So you can walk into it and just get the last parts, like just sing, get the ideas of it. You don't have to think exactly about what instrument this needs to be, what piece this needs to be. You can just get on, get your sounds out, get your songs off, and go. But when it comes to producing, you have to have the idea for the sound, which sometimes I have. Like I have full voice notes on my phone that are here's what I would make this song, and it's me humming the bass line, it's me humming the drums, it's me doing all of the, and I'm gonna do it eventually. I'm gonna sit and do it, but it's like it doesn't always come to me when I sit down to do it. So to me, I think songwriting is the easier thing for me to jump in and out of. Producing, I have to get a bug. Something has to bite me for me to get up and do it.
Does collaboration work for you a lot as a musician?
I don't collaborate enough, you know,
Mm.
and I'm very isolated very often. I don't leave these walls. I'm a hermit, that's what I like to say, but I basement dwell very often. But when I do collaborate, they very often turn out well. I think you can I'm a chameleon. You can put me in a lot of places and I'll fit. So I think every time I do step out to collaborate, there's a really good chance that I could make something or we could do something great. And it's happened a lot. I want to show them. I'm trying to figure the releases and the songs out because I want to show people how fun the collaborations can be. But you know, I think they really do drive me. Me and my friends are the creative ideas behind all of my projects. Like
Mhm.
I have a friend who produces with me now, like or for me now, excuse me. He goes by JST25. He and I sit down and we do the track lists. We talk about how the visual looks. We talk about how we're gonna text everything, how we're gonna talk about everything. I explain. It's just he and I just do that because we talk all the time, but we both overthink the creative part. So we just get together and then it's like the two of us break down an idea and boom, now y'all get this specific type of covers or the songs in this order flowing together and why the narrative feels how it feels through a 7 song EP. It's like we are very that collaborations like that are more impactful to me creatively than the others.
But if you are like, if you're very introverted, you're a hermit, like you said, how did that collaborate? You wrote a whole like what was it, like a 9 track, 7 track EP with a friend? How did that happen? How did you kind of let go of that control and was like, all right, this is something that we can do together?
It's on Fletch. That's not on me. Whenever we get together, usually somehow it turns into music. Like it just always turns into us talking about music or talking about life or something. And he owns a studio in the city, not too far from me. And I just go out there and work. I used to just work in some of the rooms. I still do sometimes, but there's a lot of people in there now, so you got to really book time. But we were working in the studio all the time. We would just show up. I'd record him and some friends do stuff, and then at the end of it, he'd be like, "You want to write something?" Yeah, sure. or like two of the songs on that EP, I made in the house. I just made them by myself. I didn't know if I was going to do a second verse. I didn't know what was going to happen. I just made the songs, thought they were cool, and then went to the studio. And then I play him in the studio, and his head just turns like crazy as soon as the beat starts. And he's like, "Yeah, need it." And the rest is history. Songs just happened. He wanted to put it together. He called everybody. He made all the calls, and next thing I know, it was up. Savant Sound is his group, and that was the whole push. Is just as a family we work. We are a
Mhm.
family, not just friends. It's not nothing. We are all here to help each other creatively and work creatively. It's a really interesting mentality.
When did you find friendships like that? Was that later on, or did you always have that since the beginning?
Um, in college, to be honest, like I've
Mm-hmm.
had, I didn't really start doing this until I was 19, 20 years old, like making music in this form. So I didn't really have any friends that were modernly musical in the contemporary sense. It was always like just the classical stuff, and it was that's cool, but it didn't. It's you can't call them to come make this. You can't. It's weird unless you write them a part to play. So I met
Yeah.
some people. I met some people in college, like my friend D Anonymous, who's my label mate. We started the entertainment company, our whole thing. So I met him in college. I met a lot of my friends that I produce, or I mean that produced for me, or like that I've worked back and forth with through random people in college, like Isan from the song Love Scars. I met him in college. He was just a kid who needed some guidance to rap. Someone pointed him in our direction. He came and hung out with us, and then we started making some songs and just hanging out and being cool. Through him, I met a ton of other people, and that's just kind of how it went. It was like you meet two, three people in college. Like I met Fletch in college, and then we graduate and come home, and now boom, another door opens of a bunch of people. It was cool how the networks all opened up.
Yeah, and how you guys have your backs unconditionally, especially because music is such a emotional thing, like especially the way that you write your musics and how you are as a songwriter. It's something that you really have to have faith and trust that you'll have them to back you up and put your vision to work. But I did want to talk to you about your process. I know we're talking a lot about like from the beginning into now, but like it's really interesting to see that growth. How has your process as a songwriter, as a musician, evolved from the first time you started putting music out on SoundCloud to now, where you're really excited to put out songs that are more and more like you?
I think internally it hasn't changed at all. Like I'm still just doing stuff. I'm just picking songs that feel like they work together. I'm just making stuff that feels like whatever I feel like today, and
Mm,
then smiling about it either way. If you like it, if you hate it, however it comes out, I'm just rolling with punches. If people don't listen to it, if people listen to it a lot, like I don't none of it really it matters, I guess, but it's never really mattered to me. So that part of me doesn't feel like anything's changed at all. Feels like same. It feels like I'm still in my dorm room, just like, hey guys, check this song out that I made, and then boom, we just go. But I guess it really has changed. It's turned to a point where everything's starting to matter. Like people are starting to pay attention. So I guess I have to be intentional now about things, and we do that naturally. But now we have to go into something, trying to do something, and that's the very biggest change. I'm writing songs that are effortless, but I have to take the songs and do things with effort. It's very
mm,
fucking weird to me. Say
yeah.
it nicely.
And especially like the marketing behind it, like that stuff is a monster. That stuff has changed the game. And it seems like it's something brand new to you. How are you kind of adapting to that?
I'm not well currently because I am trying to balance a lot of personal and internal stuff and not let it take me away from doing what the songs need to be done or to have done to them. I have often in my life let that happen to where just like I got depressed about something, so I just didn't promote, and then the song just came out. Or I didn't go. I made a plan of what to do for this month, literally this month, and then something happened that was really important, and I pushed off the plan to do that. And it's things like that that I have to stop. I have to find a way to allow all of it to coexist. And I think after that I'll be fine because a lot of the marketing, I don't have like crazy ideas. I'm just gonna do stuff that's like what I'm already doing and just put a camera up because that's I mean that's all people want anyway. They just want authenticity and I feel like just being I'm in a period of transition and in that transition it is to being the most honest version of myself. You know, even if it's the most honest in the moment and my opinion changes tomorrow, my opinion changes tomorrow. So what? Just it's just about being honest. So I have to find a way to make the content that they say while still being my most honest self. I know how I'm gonna do it, but that's been the biggest barrier.
Yeah, it's kind of getting accustomed to the fact that like you said, people are starting to pay attention and that kind of stuff can really compromise your artistic integrity in a sense because then you start making music for the audience rather than music for yourself, right? Do you ever think that's gonna it seems like from what we've been talking about, you've been really good at sticking true to yourself and sticking true to the stuff that you have to say without letting other opinions get in the way. What do you think would be the moment where you're gonna be like, okay, I don't know if this is gonna be too much, or I don't know if I'm willing to put this part of me out of there.
Think I don't how do I in the most plain manner, I don't give a damn what anyone
Mm.
has to say or feel or think about the part that I make and the things that I do creatively, like because they're all internal things. Even when they're just songs for fun, there are like I might care about someone's opinion in a sense for a song. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think I'll ever turn and absolutely say, you know what? Yeah, you're correct. This is more of what should be here in this song or in this and
Yeah.
I look at them when they say a line that's not in my mind not better than mine, and I'm just looking at them like, no. Even in the whole room, everyone else in the room will be like, that's hard. That's it. And I'll go, and I won't say too much, but I'll keep trying to top it. Like I'll write another and I'll write another and I'll because I'm like, there's a better line than that somewhere. It's never an intentional thing. You're not trying to be an asshole or be like, it's me and I'm the one and my opinion is I'm literally just doing what I feel like is right and what I feel like doing.
I kind of wanted to talk about one piece of work in particular. I really wanted to talk about If Only We Knew,
Yes.
because I don't know. I don't know if I'm just being biased because I just really, really like that whole body of work, but I felt like it was so emotional. Like you came at it from a place that I was just like, oh, we haven't heard this before. It's something so deep. What was your mindset like going into creating all of that work?
Um bad. Look, I I made 4 projects at the same time. None of them were intentional. None of them were planned, kind of. If Only was planned in a way because that picture on the cover, I had an idea. I split from the woman I was with and I went they lived across the street still. Uh I had gone over. I bought a camera. I was like, or bought a camera. Excuse me. I'm going to uh, take pictures of just things and just try to keep memories because I'm not really that kind of person normally. So, but I wanted to become that because I was realizing, I'm graduating college, my relationship is ending, everything is like fading away. I want to at least be able to say it existed. Was how my brain was thinking. So I was taking pictures of everything, but I had this idea to take the picture in the living room with the person so she was like laying out, and I just had my other friend take the picture. I hate that I plotted this, but I did. I've never done that since, but I plotted that one. And then I just made music around the idea because like I was sad. I was in the house, like sad. It was COVID times. I'm stuck in my apartment now because
Mm.
that just split my life. So I'm in the house. And then, I moved back to living with my family. I'm just in the house. There's not really a lot going on. It's hard to get a job, hard to do all these things coming out of COVID, like or coming out of the first like big wave when I came back home because that was 2020, so stuff was still going. But I was just writing what I was feeling. I would be sad sitting in the room. I'm just gonna sing a song. Like I did blame when I was really upset one day. I was so mad about something. I was mad at myself for something that happened. and I didn't know how to. I didn't want to keep yelling at myself. I didn't really know how to talk about it, and I heard the beat, and I just started singing, and then eventually, oh, okay, so that's what this song is. Like, I guess a thing that I've never said is that I don't really think about what the songs are about. I'm just saying whatever words come out of my mind and come out of my mouth at the time. And I try to make them fit together. And then at the end of it all, however many days pass, however many hours pass, however many moments pass, I figure out whatever that song is about and what I was trying to say. I don't make I don't do any of it with any form of like I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna write a song about. So that album was so deep and raw because I wasn't even thinking about the fact that I'm giving details that might be too personal, or the fact that I might be embarrassing myself saying this thing. I don't care. That doesn't matter.
You're coming at the music from a place that's so pure and a place that's so unapologetically like, this is how I'm feeling at this moment, and I'm going to try my best to put that into words. Have you ever felt this is cutting too deep? Maybe I shouldn't. I haven't healed from this yet. I don't know if I can put it out.
Yes, but not necessarily for that reason.
Hmm.
I have had internal conflicts with some songs that I've written because I felt the song very heavily for a moment, and then I leave that moment and I no longer feel like that. I know, like, and that's supposed to be that way. But then I go on with life and I'm going to put songs together and pair up things, and I'm looking back at it like, but I do love that person. I for in that moment thought I didn't love that person or I didn't care about that person because I was upset, but I do love that person. Or I'll have a moment where I'm in a song saying I would never do something like this, and then I've lived my life and I've done something like that. So now it's like, okay, what do you do? That's really been my only creative conflict with some of my music.
And the conflict too, I feel like you said you were doing 4 projects at once. How do you compartmentalize that? Like, how do you organize your brain to be able to do that?
Um, and that's why I tell you that I don't think about a lot of this because I didn't. I was just writing songs, right? I was just making a song every day or 2 songs a day or however many records I was making at the time over a course of a year. And then we all sat down, like a bunch of my friends and I sat down and were like, wow, let's listen to some music we've made, man. And I was just playing a bunch of songs, just song after song after song after song. And they're like, damn, you have a lot of music, dude. Your vault is huge, which it is. I have so many goddamn folders. I have a bunch of folders of songs. It's like catalog, projects, for when I go to those genres. And then it's just more categories. Everything is broken down so I don't lose anything. So I can just scroll
Mhm.
back. If we want to put something together, just get the project folders, get the whatever loose songs and other songs, and just start throwing them together. We'll make like 10 track lists, and then 5 of us will roll around with each track list and just make opinions and go from there.
That's awesome. The
It's
power of not thinking too much about it.
yeah, I mean, we don't think enough, I think, but it's
I did though, because I know we're running out of time, but I wanted to talk about misery. Did that come out as a part of that time where you were just creating a ton of stuff just for the sake of creating?
yeah. I I tried to finish that song every week for a year and a half because I could not think of a chorus.
Mm.
I had the verses, I had everything. All I didn't have was a chorus and a way to end the song. Because I always do my little outros when I figure out what the song is and about and what it's about. So I was sitting there with this beat and I had the verses and I thought it was so perfect. I would get so mad every day. It's the only song I've ever done that with. I came back 2 to 3 times a week to that song and was like, there's got to be something. You got to get the words. You got it. You got it. And then one day it clicked. After it clicked, I was like, oh, okay, I guess we can put this out now.
What do you think made it so difficult to figure it out?
What it was about, because I was talking about different situations and I was blending like my life and a friend's life and just stories we've heard from people we know and how dating is and how I was feeling about a situation I was in all that time ago, which was I think because it went so far away from it, I couldn't remember what I felt. That and just the fact that I could not summarize what I wanted. I did not know what I wanted from the actual person and from the real situation. So once I figured it out, it made sense. Once I figured out the real thing, I wrote it in the song and was
Yeah.
like, kept it moving.
You're like, moving on. Let's forget that happened.
Greatest blessing ever. Thanks.
Can we expect that to be a part of another album or EP? What you got cooking? I don't know. Can you give us a little
Uh,
preview, sneak peek?
I don't have a clue how I want to give you what I want to give you. So
Mhm.
all I can say is there are things that are happening. Um, maybe even this week, but there are things that are happening, and I kind of want one of them to be a surprise, and then the rest I want to walk us into because I don't have a clue how I want it to end exactly. And I think the fun of this is going to be just throwing darts at the wall and watching what everyone else does because we have to touch the other genres now. But I also see you really like Misery. You guys really like the funky, the bouncy. I see that. I see what everyone's enjoying. So I'm not gonna give up deep music and run away from that. But I think it's time for some fun songs because life hasn't really I haven't really dropped a lot of fun songs. I think it's time for some fun songs. I think I have to scratch the itch of that bounce misery type thing one more time, of course. But the rest of this should be fun.
Like your whole philosophy on creating music is incredible, and I think it's something that a lot of artists can learn from.
So I'm just living. If being yourself is what you need to learn, then you know what? I love that. Just be that's all you gotta do is just be yourself. Nothing else really matters. Nobody else matters, man. It's your life, it's your 24, it's your however long you live. So make it what you want it to be.